Pareidolia. When your brain sees faces everywhere, your brain is constantly seeing things that aren't there, and it might just be the reason our species survived. Have you ever been startled by a face staring back at you from the wood grain of a door? Or felt a sense of whimsy looking at a cheerful-looking electrical outlet? Perhaps you've gazed at the clouds and distinctly made out the shape of an animal, a ship, or even a person you know. This isn't a sign of an overactive imagination. It's a well-documented psychological phenomenon called pareidolia. At its core, pareidolia is the human brain's remarkable, and sometimes mistaken, tendency to perceive meaningful patterns, especially faces, in otherwise random or ambiguous visual information. We've all experienced this in small ways, but here's where it gets fascinating. This simple cognitive quirk can lead to events that capture global attention. Consider the story of Sheila Antony, a devout Catholic woman in Bangalore, India. In 2002, after accidentally burning a piece of roti, a type of flatbread, she was stunned to see what she believed was a clear image of Jesus Christ seared onto its surface. She presented it to her local priest, who declared it a miracle. Word spread like wildfire, and soon an estimated 20,000 Christian pilgrims flocked to her home, all hoping to witness the sacred image for themselves. This wasn't a one-off event. Just 2 years later, and nearly 15,000 kilometers away, a woman in Florida made headlines for a similar reason. She claimed to see the unmistakable face of the Virgin Mary on her grilled cheese sandwich. This holy sandwich wasn't just a source of spiritual comfort. It became a valuable commodity, eventually selling on eBay for an astonishing $28,000. For believers, these were divine signs. For neuroscientists, they were textbook examples of pareidolia. This is the part most important. Face pareidolia. Why we see faces everywhere and how it's used. Ever caught yourself seeing faces in clouds, toast, or even car grills? That's face pareidolia at play. But here's where it gets controversial. A new study from the University of Surrey suggests that these imagined faces actually hijack our attention more effectively than real gazes do. How's that for mind-bending? The researchers delved into why we're so captivated by these face-like patterns. They found that while real faces draw our attention with specific cues like eye direction, face pareidolia activates a broader, more holistic attention mechanism. This means that the mere suggestion of a face in an object triggers a stronger attention response in our brains. And this is the part most people miss. The study revealed that our brains process real faces and face-like objects differently. For real faces, we focus on distinct features, but with pareidolia, it's the overall structure and the placement of eye-like features that grab our attention. So what does this mean for the real world? The researchers believe that understanding this phenomenon could have practical applications in advertising and design. By incorporating face-like elements into product designs, marketers might be able to boost consumer attention and make their products more memorable. Dr. Defu, a lecturer in cognitive neuroscience at the University of Surrey, sums it up: our findings may have practical implications too, particularly in areas like product advertising. Advertisers could potentially incorporate face-like arrangements with prominent eye-like elements into their designs, increasing consumer attention and leaving a more memorable impression of their products. This study not only sheds light on how our brains process facial information, but also opens up new avenues for leveraging this knowledge in creative and strategic ways. Whether it's in advertising or simply understanding the quirks of our perception, the power of face pareidolia is undeniable. So the next time you spot a smiling face in your morning coffee, remember, your brain is doing some pretty fascinating work behind the scenes. The science behind face pareidolia. How our brains spot faces everywhere. How our brains are drawn to and spot faces everywhere. If you have ever spotted faces or human-like expressions in everyday objects, you may have experienced the phenomenon of face pareidolia. Now, a new study by the University of Surrey has looked into how this phenomenon grabs our attention and could be used by advertisers in promoting future products. The study, published in Eye Perception, investigated the differences between our attention being directed by averted gazes when a subject looks away from another subject's eyes or face, and when it's directed by pareidolia, imagined face-like objects. The researchers conducted 4 gaze cueing task experiments with a total of 54 participants to measure how our attention is influenced by the direction of another subject's gaze. They found that participants consistently shifted their attention in response to the appearance of both averted gazes and pareidolia. However, the underlying mechanisms through which attention is drawn are quite different. While we are primarily drawn to the eye region of averted gazes, we are drawn to pareidolia's holistic structure of their faces, and as a result, experience a stronger response and attention. Dr. D. Fu, lecturer in cognitive neuroscience at the University of Surrey, said, "Our research shows that both averted gazes from real faces and perceived faces on objects can direct where we look, but they do so through different pathways. We process real faces through focusing on specific features, like the direction of the eyes. However, with face-like objects, we process their overall structure and where their eye-like features are positioned, resulting in a stronger attention response. The findings of the study may have implications that go beyond a better understanding of how our brain processes information." Dr. Fu adds, "Our findings may have practical implications too, particularly in areas like product advertising. Advertisers could potentially incorporate face-like arrangements with prominent eye-like elements into their designs, increasing consumer attention and leaving a more memorable impression of their products." More information, Eye Perception 2025. DOI 10-1177204-665-2025, and for bextras.com. World information, Eye Perception 2025, dx-doi.org/validate. The citation of How Our Brains Are Drawn to and Spot Faces Everywhere. Retrieved 26 July 2025 from https://medicalexpress.com.u1400news.com. How Our Brains Are Drawn to and Spot Faces Everywhere. This document is copyright protected. This document is subject to copyright protection, apart from the copyright value details of all of its content. This document is delivered for people working to research projects. This content is provided for information purposes only. If you have any questions about the study, you must facilitate the questions concerning performance and the resulting impacts on the research before proceeding. This was sent over to the Medical Express Company servers, to 4 real people at a remote date time unless of their consent for a particular facial video conference. This podcast will probably have a similar reception talk to our board members, particularly if you're interested in delivering reports. We probably will be running very similar next week. This was a rare thing you and I talked about covering. We do, however, know that the products are a big company. Well, not yet. If either company is successful in with conventional volume under restrictive timelines, as long as it takes you multiple obsessive companies to create a fantastic joke set and stick with it in Sykes Revel. That's lost our case now. We try keeping sentence at 1,000, but I can't philosophically change my voice into any of the text-ish. Nothing wrong with it. I guess I don't like what I said. I think it's time for a little different. To give a little pill to take here. If everything... There's the flies in the door. I can order work it only when I'm working. I don't know why. I guess I only work when I do work. I think it's an essential thing. And to talk with vernacular like I'm left with my arms like this guy at a steering wheel's professional code. It makes sense. No info. I will keep talking from the dactymeter. Not I'm just getting comfortable, but it'll go you talk, and then I'm just it's talking. Then Gandhi, give me I mean, if you want to talk about that, we can maybe interesting or leave the room together. I'm not talking to get up every time and address the room. Somehow, but just had to lay me down and shake my head and stuff like that. Completely for you. Sticking in his eye out. It's right away. Okay. Well, ask again, Ken. When you go ahead, then I'm taking again. No, it's going to the door. Let's do something different. Let's put a thing. Our rule. This one. Okay. Let it go from them. Like Ken Rangers mood mobile. Maybe Rangers was of really preparing for the option. It's still, I get the feeling that my gold button. See, that's just a little luxury. I have Tensile. Okay, go ahead. Let me prep it. Fine. You can go with it. Look, you can do it with good. Evolution. There we go. Think that when I was John, you could tell from me. You know, then within. Remember. Fucking, yeah. Yeah, thinking I does have a lot of pot. Just think his face. Actually, there were two in the front. Oh, well, one of the. Let me go down. Well, you left. I didn't know you. I think no. Try to pull it again. Live after a second. Head burn, but sorry, can't feel anything. Let's see. Man, should speak. Some small trembles, exactly.